The videos in this series are going to form a sort of pre-review package for things that we expect you to know going into grade 9. And one of those things is fractions. And you know that fractions are fun because fractions and fun both start with the letter F. And if you'll believe that, you will believe anything. So many people find fractions confusing, probably because they just don't spend a whole lot of time with them. But we use them a lot in high school, but we also use them in a slightly different way. This is a thing that happens all the time, where we have tricks where if you are willing to be a little bit confused, we can make the work easier to do. So you will remember a fraction is just a number on top of another number with a line. So something like 3 over 4, which is 3/4 or 3/4. And the way you think of that in your head is you draw a picture, you split into 4 pieces that are exactly the same size, and you color in 3 of them. Now, the thing that happens in high school, which is a little bit confusing, is you will remember that you can turn a fraction into a decimal by doing the top number divided by the bottom number. And in this case, that's 0.75. And so what we say is that 3/4 is the same thing as 0.75. And what this does is this sets up something really weird, which is, as far as we're concerned, the division sign and the fraction sign are the same thing. And the way we deal with that is we basically throw the division sign out the window. We do not use it anymore. We only use the fraction way of writing things. So 3 over 4 and 3 divided by 4 from now on mean exactly the same thing. So 3 over 4 can be a number. It can also be a division question. And which one it is depends on the situation. Now, on the one hand, you think that might be a little bit confusing, but actually what it does is it makes life slightly easier. Let me give you an example. So let's say I want to do 6 divided by 5. Let me get the right color. Now, we know that we don't do that anymore. That's 6 divided by 5. And if I plug that into a calculator, I get 1.2. So 1.2, fine, whatever. Now, if this is a measurement question or a money question or something like that, then I am totally on your side. I agree with you. 1.2 makes more sense than 6 divided by 5. However, 6 and 5 are both whole numbers, and I can count to them on my fingers. They're really, really easy to work with. I know the 6 times table. I know the 5 times table. And so the rule in high school is now, that 6 over 5 is now considered a better answer than 1.2. And if you think about it, that's actually less work. It means I almost never, ever, ever have to do division again. If somebody asks me, what is 7 divided by 4? I can just say 7 divided by 4 and stop. I don't have to do anything more after that. Now, you may also remember that in elementary school, we did not like it when the top number was bigger than the bottom number, because that was a fraction larger than 1. And so we used to say that really what I should be counting is the first 4 over 4 is 1, and then 5, 6, and 7, that's 3, is another 3/4. And that was really, really useful if you had to draw pictures. So I can draw a 1, and I can draw a second one filled in, and then I can color in all of the first one and 3/4 of the second one. So if you're in elementary school and you're coloring in pictures, then this way of doing things is really, really nice. But for anything that we would want to do that's more sophisticated than that, so if we want to do adding fractions, which we'll talk about in another video, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, we'll do other videos about those, anything you actually want to do with that, then the fraction version is easy. So we'll tell you right away that this is much more straightforward. The other thing that I get when I prefer to have things be fractions is I don't have to worry about rounding. So for example, some fractions, so the one we did before, 3 divided by 4, that produces a decimal that stops, 0.75 when I do 3 divided by 4 in the calculator. Some of them don't. So if I do 6 divided by 9, I get 0.666666, and after some number of 6's, my calculator is going to give me a 7. Now, this is okay, but now you have a challenge, which is who is to say whether I should write this many 6's and then a 7? Would somebody be better to write a few more 6's? I'm not even counting the 6's at this point. Is that a better answer? Is it better to be concise, 0.67, and stop there? You think, oh, well, I know that symbol. I know that's 0.6 repeating. Except the problem is it's very, very hard to do math with repeating. You can't add, you can't subtract, you can't multiply, you can't divide. I'll show you what I mean. If I ask somebody to do 1/3 plus 1/3, I can do nicer, plus 1/3, you know, if you just do sort of the pi method, that's a third, that's 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, that's just 1. Okay? But if somebody does that as a decimal, they're going to say that is 0.33 plus 0.33 plus 0.33, and they're going to get the answer 0.99. Okay? And who's to say which one's right? Well, obviously, this one makes more sense. There's something nicer about it, and by switching to decimals, the number changed a little bit. Now, it changed by a tiny amount. It's absolutely not the end of the world. So it's not like anyone would care all that much. But for example, if you are checking your answer in the back of the book and you have 0.99 and they have 1, you may not know at first, did I get a different number because I was rounding, or did I get a different number because I didn't understand something and I did something wrong? So generally, as a rule, we say that we just leave things as fractions, and almost never, ever, ever do we ever convert anything to a decimal. So the rule is that you like fractions. A fraction is a good final answer. And what that gets you is it means that as long as the question starts with nice whole numbers, then it will always stay with nice whole numbers. A question that has no weird decimals in it will never get new weird decimals showing up. So even though it takes a little while to get used to, so if I give you a really weird number, like I'm not exactly sure what 17/12 looks like. But I do know that it is a nicer number than whenever I get if I type in 17 divided by 12. So it just makes life a little bit easier. And then in the next video, we're going to talk about and review some of the operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and of course, reducing. So stay tuned, and we'll see you very soon.